Playthink 2023. And today we are learning knee traps on a contact staff and covering the basics of fishtails and foot fishtails and just how to think about things for the future of your flow as you progress. My name is Sparkles and I'm your instructor here today. This is my third year at Playthink and I wanted to cover some of my favorite tricks in this class that I do a lot in the fire circle. So today we talked about how we can use hand rolls to accentuate our flow by letting them roll onto different parts of our body, like our knee, and into a knee trap. We started out though discussing a basic hand roll and how a conveyor belt uses the same principle as a hand roll by starting below a center mark, letting it roll and exit on the center mark or above it. By rolling the staff, we're able to change our position of where our hand is on the staff. So by starting below the center and letting it roll onto our knee, we can let it roll from our hand onto the center mark as it crosses the top of our knee. When it rolls over our knee, we can bend down and catch it there in the pit of our knee. When we step down, it does an interesting thing in the fact that it pushes against the other leg and rotates. And as it does that, we're going to bend our opposite knee, trapping it on the other side. We call this a ball change because it's actually from dance, like ballroom dance. They call it a ball change. Yeah, when you're in a lead or something and you have to do a turn, a lot of times you will pick up and do a ball change as they rotate. So it's like some of that terminology which has been brought over to staff. So the next thing we looked at was how a hand roll is the same way we get out of the knee trap. So we rolled in, we trapped, we came to the opposite side, and then we put our hands under the staff and we push up, allowing it to roll across the top of our knee and back into the palm of our hand. So it's completing that hand roll, but by going under our legs in a knee trap. And that allows you to move from one hand to the other with a very dynamic motion. We talked about how once you start getting them down, you can do different things to get into them. So you could fishtail. If I were to stop, I could let it go into a knee trap from a fishtail and exit in a fishtail. So instead of exiting in a propeller, I'll do that one more time. We'll do a reverse fishtail into the knee trap, reverse fishtail opposite side. So it gives you that transition. Once we have our reverse fishtails smooth, you could use forward stalls to initiate a chest roll and catch it in a knee trap, adding that kind of motion. We could think about how an angel wing, I didn't catch it behind my back, which typically with an angel wing, we'd either catch it here or we'd let it go all the way to our foot. If we bend our leg here, then we can actually catch it in our knee and bring it around using an angel wing to enter your knee trap. You can actually come from one side of your body across the back in the knee traps. Do that again. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how many things you can catch with your knees. We talked about coming from your right hand to your left knee and exiting back to the right hand. Or if you're coming from your left hand, you're going to come to your right knee and exit back to your left hand. That way, depending on which hand is your dominant hand, you can go the direction that feels comfortable to you. The next thing we wanted to talk about was how we are going to use fishtails on our feet. So we talked about the whole fishtail and how this move is based on this figure 8 or infinity sign. It's really a sideways figure 8, so it helps to just think of it as infinity. We can take the stick away and practice that motion. Same for with our foot. This requires some balance. So I talked about how it helps to learn this without a staff first. I practice this a lot without a stick, believe it or not, to get it down. But it just helps to move it around. And that way you can come from a fishtail and let it rotate onto your foot and keep it going in a foot fishtail. You can kick it back up into a fishtail and allow it to transfer from your hand down to your feet. We talked about other ways to get into a foot fishtail, including from an angel wing, and how you can pop it and catch it on your foot. So if I were to do that, pop it, catch it, and then do a fishtail out of it, it'll connect all that together. So we'll look at that one time real quick. Fishtail, roll, pop, catch, oop, and then put fishtail out of it. And this is just all different things that you'll start with your basics. Learning how to fishtail, learning how to move that to your foot, learning how to do that motion with your foot. And we also covered how to kick it up to yourself. So it's a trap between your knee and your toes. If you were to raise up and press on the stick, it would pop right back up to your hand. And that's how we get out of foot fishtails. So if we're doing a foot fishtail and we stop, it'll land in that kick up position. So then we can get out of it. Kind of the final thing we talked about was how we were connecting all these together, and how if you're not the most advanced with it, you can still use these tricks. It doesn't have to be super complicated. How you can use turns and things like how you come from very simple, expressive moves, and then just place it into your knees. That way it makes it more accessible for everyone. So even if I'm just spinning it like normal, I can stop and think about placing it into the knee. And then as you get more comfortable with like your fishtails, you can start coming from those. And then when you're comfortable with those, you start coming from your rolls. So it's all about, there's no really beginner or advanced. It's like, well, what's your style and how do you want to use this move? You don't have to like do it the way I'm doing it, because there's so many different ways you can use it in your flow. But that's about it.
Hey,
we could
you show a demonstration of how it can be utilized with two contact staffs again?
Yeah. So two contact staffs is like a whole nother game, but we do a move called a trap to trap, which is where it flows from one side to the other. If we don't let it go all the way over from here, we can move this trap down here. Now it's under my arm. Now I can reach out and grab it from here and bring it under my legs, place this stick back under, and come back out. So it's kind of interesting how you can use that. One I didn't show is if you're in your fishtail and you stall here, which a lot of people do the vertical stall. So every time you do a vertical stall, think about you can grab it right out of there. Casey Allen likes to let it fall from way up here. Yeah, so that gives you that little, did she just mess up? Because it's here, it falls down, But it's really just a little style, That's what's fun about it. Whew. Does anyone have any other questions?
I don't think so.
Hey.
You guys are awesome.
This is what you want.